Introductions by members. Minister of Forests.
Thanks very much, Mr. Speaker. It was about a year ago that I stood in this House and joined in celebrating Mr. Highlands Bob McMinn's 100th birthday. It was an incredible celebration, May 10th. I am pleased to update the House that Bob McMinn is living life in the Highlands. He has made the decision. He didn't have his license removed, but he made the decision not to drive anymore. Anyone who's been out to the Highlands knows that the roads there are a little windy. But he just celebrated his 101st birthday a couple of weeks ago. This guy is beloved in my community, and I hope the House will join me in wishing him a very happy birthday.
Member for Prince George Mackenzie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And joining us in the gallery today are members of the Electrical Contractors Association of BC. I come from a family of electricians, but I was the odd person out getting into politics. But these are people that literally power our province. So I want to welcome Matt McInnes, their president and CEO, their board chair, Derek Fetback, vice president to Western Pacific Enterprises, and the treasurer of ECA BC, Don Beta from F&M Installations. Will the House please make them very welcome?
Minister of Labour.
Much Honourable Speaker. I'm so pleased today to be able to welcome two constituents from my community of New Westminster to the House today. Laura Kwong is New Westminster's DPAC chair, and she's here this afternoon with her daughter, and they're doing a little bit of a deep dive into our democracy, which I think is just awesome. I really appreciate the work that Laura does and that the DPAC does to advocate for education in our community. Would the House please join me in making them feel very welcome?
Member for Abbotsford Mission.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is a privilege of mine today to welcome members of my Abbotsford Mission constituency staff. I have Candace, Chelsea, and Sean Mark. These are the people who carry the day-to-day weight of public service with grace, strength, and compassion. I am so proud to call them my staff. Would the House join me in recognizing and welcoming them today?
Minister of Children and Family Development.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Today in the House is one of my absolute favorite constituents. He also happens to be one of the reasons I'm standing here in this role today. Finn Donnelly is a beloved leader in our community. He was fantastic city councillor, a fantastic member of parliament, a fantastic MLA, and a testament to lifelong public service. He's still working tirelessly for our community, for a better future, for our environment, for our children. I am honored to fill his shoes. It's a bit of tradesies. I asked him to run, he asked me to run. I hear it's his birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Finn. I also hear that the staff did a really good job of making sure all of the pencils were well sharpened in the legislature today. So would the whole House please help me in giving Finn Donnelly a very warm welcome.
Member for Kelowna Mission.
Speaker, it's a pleasure to welcome to the House Blair Ireland, the Mayor of the District of Lake Country and Vice Chair of the District of Central Okanagan, along with Lake Country CAO Paul Gibbs. Pleasure to have you guys here today. Good to meet with you. Thank you for coming.
Minister of Health.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker. I'm delighted to have three visitors from my riding of Mid-Island Pacific Rim here today. Joining us are Alberni District Teachers Union President Ryan Dvorak, Vice President Wendy Arnett, and then from even a little bit further out in Ucluelet, Mark Garand, who is the President of the Ucluelet Tofino Teachers Union. And I'm just delighted to have them here and have them representing their members' interests, and I'm so grateful to them for all of their support of our public education system. Would the House please join me in making them feel very welcome?
Member for West Vancouver Capilano.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Today at the Legislature, we had the welcome members of the TELUS leadership team as part of their Kits for Kids initiative, including Jill Schnar, Jugi Sihota, Dee Brown, Tyler Mui, and Marissa Nobau. Alongside volunteers and board members, they're helping pack and deliver 930 backpacks filled with school supplies to families in need across BC, part of TELUS's Day of Giving and their long-standing commitment to community as BC's hometown team. Thank you, TELUS. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I rise with some sadness to report to the House the passing of an incredible fossil hunter here in British Columbia, Mike Trask up in Courtenay. For those that don't know, Mike and his daughter discovered our provincial fossil, which at the time was identified as an elasmosaur, but I'm pleased to share on behalf of his family that in fact it is a new genus. It is not an elasmosaur, it's a specific plesiosaur, and so his discovery with his daughter outlives him, and in fact it has been named a Traskosaura sandrae, so named after Mike Trask himself because of his incredible contribution to paleontology in this province. For those that want to get to know his discovery even better, I'd urge them to go up to the Courtenay Museum and Paleontology Centre. You'll probably get a chance to meet his twin brother, Pat Trask, who is also an incredible fossil hunter and somebody who's given so much to this province in terms of our knowledge. So please, Honourable Speaker, if you mind, on behalf of the House, to acknowledge the passing of Mike Trask and his incredible contribution to this province. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Member for Langley Willowbrook.
Speaker, I'm honored to introduce my community staff that works with me at my Langley office, Isabel Stockfish and Sean Mark. Along with, I've introduced them earlier as well, three important people, my husband, Sharon Tour, and my two daughters, Naya and Jaya, to the chamber. Can the House please make them feel welcome?
Member for Vernon Lumby.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. As we know, we're always excited to welcome guests, but many of us also carry a memory of loved ones who are no longer with us. For me, my dad, and also my late husband, Sammy, father of my two daughters. But that said, while this moment is emotional, at the same time, I'm excited to welcome his parents, Manjeet Singh Gill, a millwright who served in Mackenzie Sawmills for over 52 years, and his mother, Paramjeet Gill. And besides raising three kids, she also worked at a local Greek restaurant, and along with their daughter, Anoop Gill, Sammy's only sister, and she was born and raised in Mackenzie, and we shared many cherished memories. Despite living in BC for decades, and their ancestors who came here over a century, work kept them busy, and life. So it is their first time being in the gallery today. And they are also joined by my daughters, Manreet, Jasreen, and my son, Avishan. Would the House please give them a big round of applause and make them feel very welcome?
Member for Boundaries Milkameen.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. It's not often that I get the chance to welcome someone from my own riding of Boundaries to Milkameen, but I'm pleased to do so today. In the gallery today, I have Emily Walbeck from the Princeton Parent Advisory Council, and I had the pleasure of meeting her knocking on doors during my campaign, and she's very passionate about advocating for the students in Princeton. I appreciate that she's come today, and I want to thank all the volunteers and parents that are here today at the legislature for their rally. Please make her feel welcome.
Member for Cariboo-Chilcotin.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'm certainly proud to make three introductions from my community. The first two individuals are from Eskedum. That is the incredible First Nation just southwest of Williams Lake. David DeRose and Calvin Dubray are here. They are here advocating not only for their community, but for parents and children in their education program. And with them today, Mr. Speaker, is George Hobie. He is a member and one of the founding members, I suppose, of Concerned Parents of Williams Lake, and I welcome them all here today. They are here for the rally as well and here to advocate on behalf of our parents and children in our communities. Thank you very much, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure.
Member for Abbotsford South.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I also have 3 introductions to make. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce Drs. Chris Valley and Melissa Carr from the Acupuncturists of British Columbia, here to talk with us about concerns that they have, and we look forward to that conversation. And also, for those of you that have been around for a long time, Mr. Speaker, like yourself, since in the legislature since 2008.
5, actually.
5, thank you. 2005. So it's even longer than I figured. We actually have Mur Meadows here, who formerly was in the dining room downstairs, and a resident here, and actually also an all-around actor extraordinaire. So please, will the House welcome them with warm applause. Thank you.
Member for Kamloops North Thompson. No? Oh. Okay, we'll go over Delta South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to welcome my wife, Pam, who's here today for a couple of days to join me, and we brought along our 2 really good friends from Tawasin, Scott and Michelle Harris. They're famous for Harris Nursery in Tawasin and Ladner, an expert on everything to do with the nursery business. And I want to thank Pam. She works hard at her full-time job, and then she looks after our farm when I'm not here, and then she rides her horse every afternoon. And I grow hay to feed her horse. There's 3 reasons she married me, Mr. Speaker. I had a farm, I grow hay for horses, and my brother's a horse veterinarian. So please make Pam feel welcome.
Member for Surrey Panorama.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've got 2 things today. One, I would like to welcome Alex Staggart. Every time I go to a Richmond event, I seem to see him there, dedicated community advocate. He works on community-focused change. He drug crisis, housing inequality, environmental concerns, and government accountability. He strives to implement sustainable solutions that enhance the well-being and resilience of the local communities. So if we could give him a big hand. And personally for myself, today is my wedding anniversary. I'm not an overly romantic fellow. My wife isn't here today. She's on the road. But I will say it could have been worse.
Okay. Langley Walnut Grove. Member for Langley Walnut Grove.
Thank you. It begs the question for whom, but thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today in the House, I've got both of my constituency assistants, Lita, who I've introduced here before, and then new to my office is Ashley McDougall. She's a recent grad from University of Fraser Valley, I believe arts, political science major, and maybe economics. Yep, oh, I got the thumbs up. So both of them make me look good on a daily basis, and I really appreciate their work. So if the House could just say thanks that they're here.
Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I just want to give a shout out to TELUS, who are here on the premises today doing their kits for kids. I was able to go out at lunchtime and stuff some backpacks with Jill Schnarr and Juggy Sahota. TELUS just does such a great job of engaging the community with their volunteer work, and I really just want to congratulate them for that and thank them very much.
Madam Clerk.
Introduction of bills.
Member for Wandifuka Malahat. Sorry, I cut you off. Sorry. Please.
Statements by members.
No, member for
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's my pleasure to speak today in recognition of National Accessibility Week, which takes place from May 25th to 31st. This week is a time to reflect and celebrate and to acknowledge the work and leadership of people with disabilities, as well as the contributions of those advancing inclusion in our communities. Having faced barriers myself, I know there's still much work to be done and build a province that works for everyone. This is why our government is committed to advancing accessibility and inclusion. As Parliamentary Secretary for Accessibility, I'm proud to support this work, refreshing our 3-year accessibility plan and developing BC's first accessibility standards under the Accessible BC Act, in partnership with our Provincial Accessibility Committee, which is led by an incredible group with diverse lived experience. Our efforts are guided by the UN Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities and the principle, nothing about us without us. This ensures people with disabilities help shape laws and policies that affect them. Mr. Speaker, everyone benefits when our communities are accessible, and ensuring inclusion is a shared responsibility. As we mark this important week, I encourage all members to be champions for accessibility. Let's build a province where every child can play, every person can connect, and every space is open to all. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Kelowna Centre.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Today I rise to honour a special athlete and to highlight the Special Olympics in BC. I'm honoured to recognize Cassidy Rutledge, an incredible Special Olympics athlete whose strength, determination, and spirit inspire us all. Cassidy exemplifies the true meaning of perseverance and sportsmanship, proving that no challenge is too great when faced with passion and heart. Cassidy made a mark at the 2025 Canadian Powerlifting Union Championships in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. Cassidy completed a perfect 9-for-9 performance, claiming the national championship title in the 63-kilogram category. Cassidy competes in both Special Olympics and mainstream competitions. In March, she won a national title and earned a spot at the International Powerlifting Federation World Championships, which is being held this coming November in Romania. Her dedication to her sport and her unwavering positivity reminds us that ability is limitless when fueled by courage and hard work. Cassidy began her Special Olympics journey at only 11 years old. She started in swimming, but she has participated since in almost every sport Special Olympics offers. She also participates in social sports like bocce. Last February, she went to the Nationals for snowshoeing. Next, Cassidy will compete in the Provincial Games in Prince George this July. Her goal is to represent Canada at the Special Olympics World Games in Santiago, Chile in 2028. Here are some quick facts about our Special Olympics programs in Kelowna. 3 years ago, our local committee unanimously decided to be the first community to make sport free for the athletes. At a net programming cost of over $165,000, they have been able to sustain their free sports initiative via an aggressive fundraising program and with the help of some fantastic local philanthropists. Kelowna hopes by showing the rest of the country that providing free sport to our underserved population is achievable, that eventually sport will be free for all Special Olympics athletes nationwide. Currently, Kelowna has 221 athletes, 16 sports, and over 100 coaches and program volunteers. I wish I could post a photo on the screens right now of Cassidy because she's as adorable as she is strong and tenacious. Cassidy, you are a shining example of what it means to be a champion, both on and off the field. Let's celebrate Cassidy and all Special Olympic athletes who continue to break barriers and inspire greatness.
Member for Coquitlam-Millardville.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. As British Columbians, there is a great deal that unites us, most notably our collective commitment to this great province we all call home. And on August 4th, BC Day, the first annual Celebrate BC event will take place in Coquitlam Town Centre Park on the traditional territory of the Coquitlam First Nation. The one-day festival will be hosted by the Coquitlam and Success, a multi-service agency that is renowned for assisting newcomers in all stages of their lives. We will honour Indigenous and settler histories and will bring together British Columbians from all regions to celebrate who we are and our shared future through music, art, a regional showcase, and BC's largest salmon barbecue. This vibrant event will be a tribute to the rich cultural fabric, natural beauty, and diverse communities that define our province. A heritage walk exhibit will highlight the many cultures that make our province so unique. Celebrate BC will also serve as an expression of our collective aspiration, the spirit of collaboration, reconciliation, and the pride that unites us. And Honourable Speaker, as members of this House know, an event of this magnitude does not come together without a great deal of collaboration. We would like to acknowledge the Coquitlam people who are helping spearhead this event and are demonstrating the meaning of the word partnership. And on a personal note, I cannot lift up highly enough the members of the Coquitlam Nation who are small in number but enormous in heart, both in their compassion and dedication to the community, but in spreading the teachings of their culture to all of us who are willing to open our hearts to it. And what a better time to celebrate who we are as British Columbians. This BC Day, you are invited to join us at Celebrate BC. Let's come together, not only in celebration, but in recognition of all of those who have shaped this land and continue to build its future. Thank you.
Member for West Vancouver, Capilano.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I rise today to share news of a truly transformative initiative in affordable housing in West Vancouver by Kiwanis Village West. This project is the latest achievement by the Kiwanis North Shore Housing Society, a trusted community pillar since 1953. Founded by the Kiwanis Club of West Vancouver, the Society has spent over 70 years providing below-market rental housing for individuals, families, and seniors, fostering inclusive, healthy communities across the North Shore. Starting with their first site between 21st Street and 22nd Streets, Kiwanis has grown that original village and vision into Kiwanis Garden Village. It is now home to 303 rental units and an adult day center. Across the North Shore, Kiwanis operates 744 apartments in 8 buildings, all managed by dedicated volunteers, a board, and a team of caring professionals. Building on this legacy, construction began in 2023 on Kiwanis Village West, a new 156-unit purpose-built rental project. These modern, affordable homes, ranging from studios to 3 bedrooms, will be offered at approximately 75% of market rent, with priority given to our first responders, school staff, and municipal workers. And I'm proud to share that although completion was expected in March 2026, the project is ahead of schedule, with first occupancy now anticipated by December 1st of this year. More than just housing, Kiwanis Village West will include landscape gardens, outdoor spaces, and a community hub, fostering connection and well-being among residents. This progress is a testament to what's possible when a committed nonprofit works hand in hand with local government. The partnership with the District of West Vancouver has been essential to bringing this vision to life. I want to commend Executive Director Stefan Baum, the board, and the entire Kiwanis team for their vision, hard work, and steadfast dedication to building homes and building community. Thank you.
Member for Surrey Newton.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I rise today to recognize an organization that has brought extraordinary diversity, creativity, and cultural richness to British Columbia's art scene for the past 20 years. 5X. Founded in 2004 and originally named the Vancouver International Bhangra Celebration, 5X has been at the forefront of supporting emerging Punjabi artists, reshaping arts and culture in British Columbia, and making waves across the globe. I also have a personal connection to 5X, as 10 years ago I volunteered with what was then known as VIBC. Back then, we were organizing community Bhangra competitions and panel events in Vancouver, and today, that seed has grown into the 5X Fest, a full-scale cultural movement that merges music, art, fashion, and film. 5X has become a creative force that's launched careers, brought Punjabi culture to the international stage, and made Surrey a hub for the South Asian arts. The impact of 5X goes far beyond culture. It's economic. In a time when we're talking about diversification and taking control of our own economy, we must also talk about the creative economy. Artists like Inderpal Moga, Intense, and my very own constituent, Janni Nathan, are all building global music brands from right here in BC. Not only are they putting Punjabi music on the world stage, they are generating millions in economic activity through music production, streaming, tours, merchandise, and branding. This is a homegrown industry, and it is future-facing. For too long, the arts were seen as either a risk or a luxury, especially in immigrant households. The 5X has changed that. It's made culture a career, it's made Surrey a creative capital, and it's shown the world that our language, our sounds, and our stories are not just relevant, they're in demand. So I invite all members in this House to come visit Surrey on June 14th to experience the 5X Fest for themselves and see what a future rooted in culture and driven by youth truly looks like. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Richmond Bridgeport.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As a former minister responsible for multiculturalism, and as someone who proudly represents one of the most diverse constituencies in BC, I rise today with both urgency and hope as we mark Anti-Racism Awareness Week. This week is not just symbolic. It is a result of years of advocacy, including my call way back in 2021 for an annual Anti-Racism Education Day on May 29th. The call was driven by the heartbreaking rise in racism and hate during the pandemic, particularly anti-Asian hate, which surged by over 700% in Vancouver alone amid the pandemic. But these acts of hatred do not exist in isolation. We have seen increasing incidents of racism against Indigenous and South Asian communities, and we must not ignore the surge of anti-Semitism, what many historians rightly call the oldest and most enduring form of hate in this world. This historic hatred has taken on new and dangerous forms, and it must be named, confronted, and condemned without hesitation. Fighting racism isn't a partisan cause, it's a human one. It's about standing shoulder to shoulder with every British Columbian, no matter their faith, their background, or their language, and saying, you belong, and we will fight for you. British Columbians told us they want action. Over 11,000 people signed our petition, and over 170 organizations came out to support the proclamation of Anti-Racism Education Day in 2011. They want a province where their children can walk safely, can speak freely, and live without fear of discrimination. Let's listen, let's lead, and let's commit, not just this week, but every day, to the work of ending hatred in all forms. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Member. A reminder to all members, when you are making 2-minute statements, please follow the time limit. It is 2-minute statement, not longer than 2 minutes. Keep it within the time limits. Thank you so much. Madam Clerk.
Oral questions by members.
Leader of the Official Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A Globe and Mail expose over the weekend laid bare the devastating reality on Victoria's Pandora Drive, or Pandora Avenue, where addiction, death, and chaos are spiraling out of control under this NDP government. Even Victoria Police, like Detachment Inspector Connor King, a strong supporter of harm reduction, now admits it's worse than ever. The Premier said safe supply and supportive housing would save lives. Instead, he's created taxpayer-funded sites where drug use is rampant, crime is routine, and people have no hope for recovery. Mr. Speaker, will this Premier end this failed experiment and replace it with a treatment-focused housing that bans these deadly drugs and restores law and order to communities like Victoria?
Minister of Housing and Municipal Affairs.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I want to thank the Leader of the Official Opposition for his question. We know that when communities have challenges and when they face encampments, the best solution, the best way to address them is through housing. In the case of Pandora, the members should be aware that last year we had over 100 people in the encampment there. Because of the supportive housing that we brought on, because of the fact that we scaled up so many housing options, we now still have 19 people. And I appreciate that 19 people is still too many, Honourable Speaker. That's why we're going to continue to work with the local government. We're going to continue to work with our partners. In fact, after the situation around a paramedic facing violence last year, we put together a table where police, health officials, Ministry of Housing, local government officials, all of our not-for-profit partners meet monthly to talk about what we can do to address the challenges that every individual is facing in that community. But we know the supportive housing works. And I know the Leader of the Opposition started his question with saying, with some doubt that supportive housing maybe doesn't work. It works. It saves lives. It gets a lot of people out of the streets, out of the encampments, and helps them reconnect with family, helps them reconnect with employment. Honourable Speaker, we're going to continue to scale that up to support communities throughout the province.
Member supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, an interesting response from the Minister. Considering that residents are smoking and injecting fentanyl in taxpayer-funded housing units, and BC Housing is confirming it. Police are constantly called to these buildings for standoffs, trafficking, and weapons. Just last week, they seized a kilo of fentanyl, a loaded handgun, and $40,000 in cash from one of the Premier's so-called supportive housing sites. And yet the NDP still claims, as the Minister just did now, that this is helping people and moving them towards recovery. Mr. Speaker, will this NDP government stop destroying lives, be straight up with British Columbians, admit its policy has failed, and shut down these drug dens?
Minister of Housing.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Surely the Leader of the Opposition isn't talking about closing down supportive housing throughout the province. Surely he understands that by doing that, you're putting people's lives at risk. If he needs advice or if he needs some guidance on how important supportive housing is, he should just turn around and talk to his housing critic, who, as the Mayor of Surrey, was a strong advocate for more supportive housing. In fact, told other mayors about the value that it provides a community. I praise the critic for housing for her leadership when she was the Mayor of Surrey, because she understood what supportive housing meant. It made a huge difference in her community. It's making a huge difference for people in other communities. And as for the arrest, Honourable Speaker, as I said earlier, we have a table where police, our not-for-profit providers, all of our health officials, everyone sits together. And when challenges arise, we work with our officials to be able to take steps to address that. And that's what's happened in this case. We don't want to see people that are preying on vulnerable people in supportive housing, outside of supportive housing, on our streets, and we'll continue to work with law enforcement to ensure that doesn't happen.
Member for Surrey Cloverdale.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. This is the side of the House that does believe in housing, but allowing rampant drug use and setting up situations that are ripe for exploitation by drug traffickers isn't supportive. Mr. Speaker, the government has scoffed at recent warnings from U.S. officials about fentanyl production in British Columbia, calling it trade war rhetoric. But Canada's own intelligence reports confirm that foreign government-backed gangs are using BC to traffic drugs to the U.S. and beyond. A BC man was just charged exporting enough fentanyl out of Vancouver to kill 750,000 people. Last fall, the RCMP pulled 54 kilograms of fentanyl and 390 kilograms of crystal meth out of a super lab in Falkland. It's only one of 47 such labs that the NDP have busted in the last 6 years under this NDP government. Organized crime, cross-border smuggling, and chemical super labs are a national security threat. Will the Premier continue to hide behind trade war rhetoric as an excuse for his inaction, or will he finally admit that the explosion in drug production is also a provincial security threat?
Minister of Public Safety and Solicitor General.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the member opposite for the question. This government is working very hard to fight illegal drug manufacturers, and the Premier, our Premier, has been leading the charge here and in the nation's capital. This is yet another example of the BC Conservatives parroting the talking points of Donald Trump. They don't apply here. We've been working with provinces across the country to stand up to Trump and his tariffs.
Members will come to order.
Meanwhile, the BC Conservatives continue to ignore the goal of Canada being the 51st state. We're not for that. We've opposed all of their actions. We've matched their tariffs, removed alcohol from BC liquor stores, and in some
members
over there even
Minister
voted
has the floor. Minister, continue.
To not condemn Trump's tariffs. That's what we do. We condemn them. We're focused on getting people with addictions and treatments that they need.
Member supplemental.
There we have it again, Mr. Speaker, a prime example of a member of this government conflating the crisis that we have, the national security threat, with some type of trade war rhetoric. But the reality is, and this minister should know, that the 2024 Criminal Intelligence Service Canada report shows that the number of crime groups producing fentanyl nearly doubled in 1 year between 23 and 24 right here in British Columbia. Meanwhile, Mr. Speaker, the City of Delta confirmed that less than 1% of shipping containers at BC ports are ever physically searched. It's no wonder that the FBI's director says that traffickers bypass the U.S. straight for Vancouver. We campaigned on this side to establish a BC Port Police Agency and to send the bill to the federal government. Will the Premier adopt our proposal or keep misleading British Columbians about the scale of this national security threat?
Minister.
The FBI Director, Kash Patel, is blaming Canada for all of their woes. The reality is, data from the U.S. Border and Customs Authority says, these are facts, you may not be interested in them, but they're important in this House. 6.3 kilograms of fentanyl were seized at the Canadian border in April, nearly 300 kilograms intercepted from Mexico. Do the math. It's not coming from Canada. BC Conservatives are again calling for a public inquiry into decriminalization and for the province to develop a fentanyl strategy.
Hold on.
One member opposite has also called for fentanyl trafficking to the U.S. to be declared a national security scandal. It's not. Get accustomed to the facts. 6.3 kilograms of fentanyl from Canada to Mexico, nearly 300 kilograms intercepted
Member
from
for
Mexico.
Surrey Cloverdale. House Leader of the Third Party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. DRIPA, the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act, was created to provide a framework for reconciliation. It ensures better informed policy making and helps address harms from the government where the government has historically failed to cooperate with Indigenous governments. However, the First Nations Leadership Council, as well as many other First Nations and local councils, have shared fundamental concerns regarding this government's tendency to repeatedly ignore its DRIPA commitments. DRIPA must be respected at every opportunity, not simply when it is convenient for this government. Through you, Mr. Speaker, to the Premier, how do you expect First Nations to trust that you are committed to reconciliation when you continuously fall short of your commitments to DRIPA?
Minister of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for the question and the opportunity to talk about what I agree is an incredibly important piece of legislation that was passed unanimously in this House and that continues to be a focus and priority for this government. BC was the first jurisdiction in Canada to pass legislation to adopt the internationally recognized standards of the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. These are, as articulated by the UN, the minimum standards for the survival, dignity, and well-being of Indigenous people. And we continue to do work in partnership with First Nations and Indigenous people across this province, guided by the Declaration Act Action Plan, action plan that was co-developed and that we report out on annually in terms of the progress. I'm happy to report out on a bit of that progress now, in addition to a report that will be coming forward to this table soon. A great number of actions that we have seen improve the lives of Indigenous people and continue to be work we take on, and I look forward to outlining more of it.
Thank you, Minister. Member supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This government has displayed a troubling pattern of neglecting public consultation beyond just its failure to consult First Nations. This month alone, the UBCM and local governments have said they were not consulted on significant municipal issues, and environmental organizations have said they were not consulted on fast-tracked energy projects. It would seem that the only voices this government cares to listen to are the ones that agree with them. Through you, Mr. Speaker, to the Premier, how is this government ensuring that all interested stakeholders are meaningfully consulted, including those who might disagree with them?
Minister of Indigenous Relations.
Thanks, and again appreciate the question. Engagement and consultation are important pieces of how we do all of our work here, because we know that's how we get to success, is in partnership, and it continues to be a clear commitment of this government that partnership is the way that we get things done in this province. That includes working with local governments and my colleague for Housing and Municipal Affairs, as well as across government. We do that work in our local ridings as well as in our ministries. It is the same that reconciliation work is a cross-government commitment, and so it not only falls under my ministry, but each ministry of this government doing relational work, building partnerships to see things move forward that benefit all British Columbians. That's work we will continue to be committed to.
Member for Skeena.
Mr. Speaker, British Columbians with serious mental illness are being released from involuntary psychiatric care with no follow-up, oversight, or access to psychiatric support. And this government admits that they have no ability to track them or even know how many there are. After the Lapu Lapu Day tragedy, it was revealed that the suspect was one of those people on extended leave from involuntary psychiatric care. How is this anything but a catastrophic failure of care and accountability? When is this government going to put public safety first and stop releasing potentially dangerous psychiatric patients without proper care?
Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to the member for the question. And clearly this is an issue that everyone in this House takes extremely seriously, because we know that people need supports at every stage of a recovery journey, and that includes whether it is substance use issues or serious mental illnesses. Mr. Speaker, one of the questions the member raises is around people who are released from a designated facility under extended leave, for example, and they are each attached to teams. Health authorities have the responsibility to ensure that those people continue to receive those supports from those teams, and they do exactly that. As part of that, they do track patients who are on extended leave, and I would be happy to tell the member more about exactly how many there are, and for how long and when they are recalled to involuntary care early. Mr. Speaker, we are going to continue to build out a seamless system of mental health care, and supports for people experiencing illnesses, experiencing substance use issues, everything from early intervention, Mr. Speaker, to treatment and recovery and aftercare. Thank you.
Member supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Through you to the Minister, I don't know how that's possible when there was an article that was published this weekend stating that the government did say that that is not being tracked. We don't know how many people are on extended leave right now from involuntary psychiatric care. So something's not adding up there. I would be very interested to know what those numbers are and how you can provide supports to somebody when you're not tracking how many there are or who they are. Because you can't fix what you refuse to measure. Mental health care in BC is a broken system that's been propped up by slogans and platitudes, and people are being discharged into communities that have no resources to support them. We're seeing the lowest mental health care worker to population ratio across all of the provinces and no solution in sight. When will this government take responsibility for the risks that they've created, for the patients that they've abandoned, and fix this system before more lives are lost?
Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And unfortunately, I have to reject the premise that the member is putting forward because it's absolutely not true. And I'm very happy to correct the record on this issue. The numbers of people who are released on extended leave do change on a daily basis. But as I've already said, health authorities do track this. So I can affirm to the member and to the rest of this House, for example, that on May 20th, 2025, there were 5,915 people on extended leave in BC. This includes 910 in Island Health, 1,829 in Fraser Health, 652 in Interior Health, 322 in Northern Health, and 2,202 in Vancouver Coastal. Mr. Speaker, every single one of these people matters, and getting them the care that they deserve matters. That is why those numbers are tracked by health authorities. That is why those people have teams that are assigned to support them, to ensure that they have access to what they need, and why we will continue to do everything that we can to support these people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for West Vancouver, Capilano.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Parents, teachers, sports staff from all over BC are protesting on the lawns of the BC Legislature today. Some are in the gallery. They want to know why this government continues to underfund BC's education system. They want to know why in 2025 in communities like Surrey, firefighters have to fundraise for printer paper and paper towels. Through you, Mr. Speaker, can the Education Minister tell these parents, teachers, support staff who are here today why it's acceptable that on her watch, schools have to fundraise for basic supplies?
Minister of Education.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And I want to begin by thanking all the parents from across the province and any of the partner organizations who are outside rallying today. It is absolutely important to hear voices from all across the province about our education system. And particularly, we share their goals of having a supportive, inclusive education system for all.
Members.
I know that there are some boards across this province who are facing budget challenges this year. Not all, but there are some boards. We have an incredibly difficult fiscal situation for every single family.
Members, please be quiet. Enough. Minister.
Every single family, every single nonprofit, every single level of government, every single business are facing the challenges of increased inflation and the threats south of our border.
Members, how many times the chair has to remind members, you have asked the question, let the minister answer. You may not agree with the answer. Just wait for your turn to ask next question. Please. Minister will have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Speaker. You know what? I wanted to provide a really good answer for the members, but they're clearly not interested in hearing. So you know what I will provide? A quote from the member opposite who just asked the question. When she was on
CBC Radio recently getting interviewed and asked repeatedly if she would increase and if the BC Conservatives would increase funding to education. Do you know what the member said? Well, yes, no. You know what? Not necessarily add, but change how we do education. We're going to do learning pods. We're not going to necessarily have people in the classrooms. We're going to do it with technology so that students, not all of them, have to be with one teacher, 30 of them in a classroom. That's their solution, Speaker. We're going to continue to provide funding year after year, increase funding to education, because that's our values.
Shh. Member supplemental.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And thank you to the member for reminding me for some of the reasons that I got into education in the first place. Best practices. Best practices we're not doing right now. So that's what I would like to have in the future, best practices from around the world coming here. I would ask then if the minister would like to thank the people in person perhaps this afternoon, because they are here. For supportive, inclusive education, yes, we have seen an increase in inflation, but we haven't kept up with inflation. That's why we are underfunding in education right now. So through you, Mr. Speaker, to the Minister of Education, one of numerous concerned parents have contacted my office, one from Burnaby just this week, regarding the Burnaby School District's $4.2 million budget shortfall that is leading to a number of different educational cuts. She said she reached out to her MLA, the member from Burnaby North, about the elimination of the multi-age cluster class, a program which has nearly 100 students, 4 classes, specifically for neurodiverse and highly capable learners who need counseling, language support, and much more. She never heard back from her MLA or the ministry. So, Mr. Speaker, through you, why is the NDP Education Minister and this Premier leaving vulnerable students in Burnaby and BC behind? Because it's going to come back and bite us in the future. Thank you.
Minister.
Thank you, Speaker, and I thank the member for the question. I have met the rally organizers already at lunch today. I got to spend time over the lunch hour with them. We had a long conversation about the concerns they want to bring forward and what changes they'd like to see in education, so thank you for that. You know, Honourable Speaker, I think it's really important to note that we have continued to increase supports, especially supports for diverse learners in our classrooms. In fact, we have more than doubled funding to support kids in need who need that extra support. I met with the Burnaby School Board last week and had a long conversation with them as well, spent an hour with them about the challenges that they are facing in Burnaby. You know, these are incredibly difficult fiscal times, Honourable Speaker. We are seeing the effects of inflation all across the globe. And in fact, the threats south of the border are significant as well. We wake up in the morning and the world is one way, and with the stroke of a pen, 2 hours later, the world is completely different. We as a government are going to continue to increase funding year after year because that's what we believe in.
Member for Surrey White Rock.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And we're hearing from the minister that the reason Surrey is treated once again like a second-class city, the reason that she cannot give increased funding is because of south of the border. That is a line of rhetoric we're getting from this education minister today. Sad and desperate. Frontline workers, they're burning out. Programs, they're getting cut. Buses for kids with disabilities, gone. Band programs, gone. What we're seeing, students moving to shifts now. Hybrid learning, learning centers, wiped out. All under this NDP government watch, not even to mention the highest number of portables we've ever had in the city of Surrey after this government campaigned not once, not twice, but to get rid of them all. We've got the highest now ever. Mr. Speaker, why does this minister continue to fail the kids in Surrey, the parents in Surrey, the teachers in Surrey, because she just doesn't understand that she needs to properly fund Surrey?
Minister of Education.
Thank you, Speaker. And I want to make sure that we send a very clear message that we value the education system, that we have increased per pupil funding from $9,000 when we formed government in 2017 to over $13,600. Every single student in Surrey receives that per pupil funding. Every single student across the province is treated as a priority as we ensure that we are creating environments where kids can thrive. I know the Surrey School Board is facing a challenging budget this year, and it's really unfortunate that It's really unfortunate that the members opposite want to bury their head and pretend like there isn't increased inflation globally across the province and that we don't have a threat across.
Member for Surrey Cloverdale.
The official critic was asked if she would give more money, and she said, no, I'm going to do things differently. I'm going to increase classroom sizes. So no, the BC Conservatives don't have a leg to stand on here. In fact, the Leader of the Opposition, when he was in government, he fought the teachers all the way to the Supreme Court. He closed 256 schools, including selling off 21 properties in Surrey. That is not what we do as a government. We continue to increase funding in education.
Members.
We continue to increase funding. I absolutely will continue to work with districts like Surrey. I meet regularly with the board chair, meet regularly with parents, with union partners, because we value the public education system, and we're going to continue to invest.
Member for Kamloops Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Talk about a government that is completely out of touch with their own commitments. It was this Premier that campaigned on education assistance for every K-3 classroom. Let's look at how that's going, Mr. Speaker. In Kamloops, they've had to cut 80 support staff positions this week, or last week, because of funding shortfalls from this government. Campbell River is having to make cuts. Nanaimo is having to make cuts. Burnaby is having to make cuts. Surrey is having to make cuts. The list goes on and on and on. Mr. Speaker, if this was one district having a financial issue, I could understand the minister trying to deflect away and blame the President of the United States for funding issues in education in BC. But Vancouver is having issues. In fact, Vancouver is no longer a living wage designated employer, their school district. All under this NDP's watch, Mr. Speaker. The simple reality is the minister can try to spin it any way she wants. Outcomes are worse. Supports are being cut across this province to the point we now have firefighters having to fundraise for school districts. And the minister seems to think that's acceptable. When will this government properly listen to the parents that are out on the lawn, the teachers that are out on the lawn, the school districts that are out on the lawn, and recognize that they have created a fundamental mess within the school districts from K-12 in British Columbia, and actually start living up to their actual commitments and deliver what parents are demanding?
Thank you, members. Minister.
Thank you, Speaker. And I absolutely listen, which is why I just spent a lunch hour with those families, with those parents, with those partners, because we all have a shared goal of ensuring that we're providing the best education system to our kids that we can. Boards across the province, some of them are facing some difficult financial challenges and are making those tough decisions at the local level. That is a conversation those boards are having with their families in their local districts. I think it is so important to continue to recognize the challenges that we face. I know the official opposition doesn't want to accept that. But, Honourable Speaker, we have been in a difficult fiscal time, an incredibly challenging, difficult environment. We protected...
Members, let the minister conclude. Members, let her conclude, please.
Globally,
Please conclude.
fiscal challenging times, we made the very important decision as a government to protect core funding for education. In fact, our budget increased by $300 million. That is our values. We are going to continue to work with our partners. We're going to continue to support education. Thank you.
The bell ends the question period. Members, before we continue, I just want to clarify some of the concerns raised by many members during the question period. One member from Burnaby East was holding her phone. She has an issue with hearing, and she's reading the text, voice-to-text text, so she's allowed. So that's the only reason she was holding that phone in front of her. Okay, thank you. Member for Columbia River Revelstoke.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I just have a petition to present on behalf of residents and business owners in the town of Golden.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Attorney General.
Mr. Speaker, I have the honour to present the annual report of the Labour Relations Board for the year ending December 31st, 2024.
Thank you. Minister of Jobs. One more. Please continue.
Mr. Speaker, I have the honour to present the NBC Investment Corp's annual legislative report for the year 2023-2024.
Okay. Member for Surrey Centre.
Very good. Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I rise to present the report of the Select Standing Committee on Private Bills and Private Member Bills on Bill number M202, entitled Eligibility to Hold Public Office Act. The committee reports the bill complete with amendment.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Orders of the day.
Government House Leader.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I call motion 32 on the order paper. Honourable Speaker, I move motion 32, of which notice has been given in my name on the order paper, which appoints a special committee to review provisions of the Human Rights Code.
Member, the question is the adoption of the motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Motion carried. Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I call motion 33 on the order paper. Honourable Speaker, I move motion 33, of which notice has been given in my name on the order paper regarding one change to the membership of the Select Standing Committee on Private Bills and Private Members' Bills.
You have heard the question. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose?